Hello there, my name is Nathan and I live in Canada, and today I want to talk about the carbon tax and why and how the carbon tax will actually affect families and households realistically. Now, if you don't live in Canada, you may not know what the carbon tax is about, but you may be able to kind of guess or infer just from the name. And if you do live in Canada, you most likely know about it. The carbon tax is basically a tax that is put on carbon emissions. So things like driving a gas vehicle, using gas heating in your home, any of the carbon emissions that come from that or from large businesses, for example, that factors into the carbon emissions and therefore you are taxed on it. Now, why does Canada have this ridiculous tax? Because for some reason they seem to think that it's going to help reduce carbon emissions and therefore help the environment. No, it will not. There are many issues with this, and there is a specific site, actually, that is literally dedicated to the so-called myths of the carbon tax. So here we have the myths of the carbon tax, and one of those myths, number 3, being that carbon pricing will cost Canadian families. Says carbon pricing will that is a myth. The fact is, carbon pricing is only half the story. Governments are returning revenue to families to ensure carbon pricing is affordable. 60% of households receive carbon pricing rebates under the Alberta system. 60%. Yes, it is over half, but that's still 40% of households, according to this particular piece of data here, that will not be receiving the carbon pricing rebates. 40% of families. What 40%? They don't tell you. Now keep in mind, here in Canada we have 3 kind of income brackets. We have low income, middle income, and high income, and those brackets are very messed up in my personal opinion, and others as well that I know of. Now, importantly, we have to look at this. Understandably, Canadians worry carbon pricing will increase costs for their household. Carbon pricing does increase the cost of fossil fuels for households and businesses, which creates an incentive to produce fewer GHG emissions. Sure, it means that you want to go green so that you can produce less and therefore pay less on the fossil fuels and therefore get rebates and stuff as well. It also, however, generates revenues that can be used to cover those costs. In assessing overall impacts, we must consider both the carbon price itself and how revenues return to the economy. Blah 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 blah. Who cares? Doesn't matter. So according to that, carbon rebates will exceed carbon costs of 70% of households, and this policy will return 90% of the revenues directly to households when they file their taxes. The top 20% of income earners, so high income, hello, will pay more in carbon taxes than they receive in rebates, which, you know, they pay more, they make more money, so they pay more, so it's, you know, it's fair for the lower income people because those people are paying more so that they don't have to. I don't know how that all works. I'm not going to complain about taxes and stuff in this video, which is quite literally what I'm doing anyway because I'm complaining about the carbon tax. But let's skip that, and general taxes I'm not talking about. So, can be designed with fairness in mind, and should be. Hello. Okay. So, we've seen what the government says about that myth, and that it won't really increase costs for families. Yes, it'll increase the cost in general, but when you file your taxes, you get a rebate back. Well, let's think about this for a second here, okay? The carbon tax is supposed to create an incentive for families, businesses, and everything to go green, to reduce carbon emissions, right? So, for example, getting solar power for your home. I'm thinking specifically about home here because I don't have a business, I don't run my own business, I don't pay anything regarding business, so I'm not going to focus on that at all. Small businesses, however, are kind of in the same boat as families. Whereas large businesses, large corporations, they're the ones that are manufacturing things. They're the ones who have the plants and the factories and all the machinery and stuff like that. So it makes more sense for them to be paying the carbon tax because they're the heavy hitters when it comes to that, or producers, I guess. But see, for families, the incentive is supposed to be there so that you go green. So solar panels on your home, electrical vehicles, for example, right? Those are two things I can think of. I'm not going to go into anything else. This site here that I found has frequently asked questions, about going green. So particularly solar panels on your home. And it says, will I save money? If you're looking at solar as a way to save money, it may not live up to your expectations. There you go. Plain English, it's not really going to save you money. Really, so to speak. Not necessarily. It could, but not necessarily. For example, while you may no longer have to pay for your electricity from the grid, while the solar system is generating, depending on the size of your system, you would still be charged for fees related to being connected to the grid, such as transmission and distribution fees. I know nothing about any of that stuff anyway, so whatever, but you still basically have to pay the fees and stuff, so it doesn't matter. As for how much of a rebate you can expect, it says if you qualify, okay, if you qualify, the amount of your rebate will depend on the size of your system. Interesting. So, the size of installation is set at about 75 cents per watt. This means that if your system is 4 kilowatts, your rebate could be $3,000. Good. Pretty darn good, right? Now, you should know that the maximum rebate is the lesser of $10,000 or 30% of eligible system cost. So basically, the maximum rebate that you can possibly get from this is $10,000. Most likely, that's not going to happen for most families. Then again, what do I know? Maybe more people earn more than I do. So we know now that the amount of rebate is based on the size of your solar system on your home, right? Now, what does it cost to install the solar system in your home? Depends on a few factors, including number of panels and any additional equipment required. So we have to take that into account, right? It's not just the panels, it's not just how long those are, but additional equipment. I don't know anything about solar power, so there's things like inverters and some other stuff, and I don't know if those are needed. A backup system is probably a good idea as well. This company may do that automatically, I don't know. But current solar pricing varies, but may be in the range of $2.6 to $3.2 per watt installed. So if we want that 4 kilowatts that this thing shows here, that's going to be 2.6 times 4,000. So what does that come out to? Well, it comes out to over $8,000. So $8,000 to install just the panels and just the size. How large, how many for the 4 kilowatts there. If you even want just 1 kilowatt for solar panels, because I think honestly anything less than that is probably not really worth it. The very minimum you can expect to be spending about $2,600 up front just for the solar panels. In addition, you should also be considering the condition of your roof and any required electrical upgrades to wiring when thinking about costs. So let's put that cost up to probably $2,000 more. So we're already at $4,600 for that. In my situation, I rent. Well, we rent. Mom rents. I live with Mom. And I don't think that we really have a choice in having solar panels installed on our place, because we don't own the darn place. It would have to go through our landlord. Either our landlord would have to do it, which he would probably raise our rent because of it, or have us front some of the costs, or he would at least have to okay it. Now, I have no clue in there. That would have to be talked to with him, I guess. We are kind of SOL when it comes to solar panels on our home in that regard. Now, let's think about a vehicle. The vehicle my mom currently has is not that bad of a vehicle. She's had it for over 10 years, and it's starting to have some problems, of course, as cars do after such a length of time, and it is currently a gas vehicle, of course. Let's say, for example, you were going to purchase a brand new vehicle because you either didn't have one and you needed one, or for some reason you need to get a new vehicle because your current one has broken down, or whatever else. Well, the vehicle my mom really wants and that she is really drawn to is the Kia Soul. Now, the Kia Soul has an electrical vehicle version. Great, awesome, I love it. Now, the Kia Soul currently shows here that the price would be about $20,000. The Kia Soul EV is a whole $16,000 more. And the carbon pricing does not make it more expensive for families, does it? Now, I found a calculator that's actually quite nice. Fueleconomy.gov, I believe this is a US site, yes, but you know, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. The calculator is the important thing here. So I've already put in the Kia Soul and the Kia Soul EV. Those are the two cars that I have chosen for this. Drive 15,000 miles. I don't know. 15,000 miles seems like a good kind of in between. Maybe a little bit more than that, up to 20,000 or whatever. But it doesn't really matter. Electricity, I have found, is it's approximately 5.9 cents per kilowatt hour that we would have to pay where we are, and per gallon, well, we pay per liter, and it's, well, about this, I already did the math, okay? So it's about that much there. So technically, an electrical vehicle will save $24,000 over 10 years. Monthly, it saves about $205. You know, you pay 20 instead of $225. Not too bad, right? Well, let's factor in the purchase costs. $41,630. I mean, monthly, it's $673 because of, you know, leasing it and everything, because there's no way my mother would be able to pay for this outright. We won't even have a friggin' down payment for it. So if we go based on the costs, then technically the gas vehicle saves more, but then with fuel it saves less because you pay more for the fuel. So it's really hard to kind of gauge that, and it's kind of like you just got to kind of pick between one or the other. But the cost of a electric vehicle being $16,000 more isn't affordable for middle-income families. In fact, I put together a little thing that would basically describe how our life would be different, mine and my mom's, if we tried to go green for these to you know, benefit from the carbon tax and the rebates and stuff. So here you go, enjoy. Hey, come on, Mom, you gotta hurry up, you gotta go to work. It's already 3:30 in the morning. You gotta be there for 7:30.
I can't go any faster than I am.
You're going too slow. Okay, Mom. It's already 4 o'clock. It took you a half hour to get down the stairs and put your shoes on. Come on. Oh, sorry. Fridge door is a little too far. Doesn't open, or doesn't, whatever. Doesn't work nicely. Okay.
It'll take a half hour to get through here.
Yeah, well, it's already 4 o'clock. The bus comes at, no, what is it, 5? It's gonna take you that long to get there. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta get Mom's walker. Okay. Come on, come down the stairs. Get in your walker quickly. Well, hold on, come on. I tripped. Okay. Now you're in your walker. Okay, going off to the bus. Love you. Have a good day at work.
Love you.
Wait, you forgot your bag. One sec. Okay, can go on top of the cane?
Yeah.
Okay. There's your bag. Have fun on the bus. And I know there's probably some people out there who are going to be looking at that and saying, well, instead of her taking the, you know, city transit bus, why doesn't she just take the, you know, disability bus? They do have city transit options for disabled people so that they can get around to where they need to go. The only problem with these is, number one, I don't really know how much those cost, if at all. I couldn't find anything based on pricing for where I live, and it looks like it's all not for profit, but you do have to, you know, call and book an appointment, so it's a little bit inconvenient. But you see, the thing is, when it comes to carpooling, okay, my mother, being that she does walk with walkers, she has multiple sclerosis, okay, but she can still drive. She still drives all the time, totally fine. It's just her walking that's terrible. So we already have a vehicle. If we are trying to go green, then carpooling is a thing, right? It's better if 4 people go in one vehicle than each taking their own vehicle, if they're all going to the same place and if they're all kind of, you know, in the same general area, or at least on the way. With a bus, that's what that accomplishes. Buses go on certain routes and that's it. That's all. They don't deviate from that. Now with a disability bus, where you have to book your trip, or your travel time, trip, whatever, with them, if you are the only one booking it, and there's no one else on that bus with you at the time, then that bus has to come from wherever they are to us and then to wherever mom needs to go. Well, that's a lot more travel time than mom going out to the car and driving to work and then driving home. So that doesn't really help accomplish the idea of decreasing carbon emissions, which is the entire point of everything I'm talking about in this video. Now, what I really think is that the carbon tax should just disappear. They should have other things in place instead. People are intelligent. We can come up with new things, new ideas to actually help reduce carbon emissions in general, instead of just, oh, you're producing pollution? Well, pay us money. You got to pay for that. No, come up with new technologies instead and then implement it. Number two, if anything at all, if there does need to be some kind of carbon tax thing, instead of, the government coming up with these technologies or whatever and then implementing them, the costs, the tax, should be placed on the large companies that are producing all of the carbon emissions, not the families who need their vehicles for going wherever and who can't afford to go green. It's not cheap to add green power to your house or to your, to your life. It's not a cheap thing. If you are a low-income family or on the super low end of the middle income, then it's going to be next to impossible for you to afford it, because when you can barely afford food to eat each month and all you can eat is really pasta because you can get it in bulk and get large amounts of it for a cheaper price than actually getting, other stuff that's, not pasta, then trying to spend $1,000 on something just so that you pay less in taxes the next year, but you don't get to see the money until the end of the year, is not easy. So anyway, yeah, I know this is a little bit of a rant video, but I kind of really wanted to talk about it because there's not very many people who are happy with it. I'm sure some are, and honestly, I would like to know your thoughts. If you are in Canada and you are affected by the carbon tax or the carbon pricing, let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. If you are not in Canada, let me know what you think of it. It's probably pretty stupid and you're probably thinking, WTF Canada, what the heck is wrong with you? And just in general, I'd like to know your thoughts. If you have anything to say about the carbon pricing here and about anything I said, if I got anything wrong, because I did go into a little bit of research for certain things, but I did not spend, hours on end researching everything to do with it. That site that I showed you, that myth, I wanted to focus specifically on families, not on anything else. I'll leave a link to that site with all the myths in the comments below so you can take a look at it for yourself. It says we can use other better policies to reduce emissions. This is myth number 9. And the fact is that that's a myth for some reason. I don't know why that's a myth, because that's complete fact. You can use other better policies. According to them, though, carbon pricing is the fairest and cheapest way to fight climate change. It should be a key part of any meaningful plan. Sure, yeah, definitely. Oh, we have pollution going into the air and it's affecting climate change. Well, how about we just make people pay for it? Yeah, sure, money is the cheapest and fairest way to make that happen instead of driving innovation yourself. Or through the government. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I think I've said all I needed to say. Please leave your comments below as well. I'd like to know what you think about this stuff, and if you disagree with me or agree with me, if you have any other ideas, if you have any other complaints, whatever else, I want to hear what you have to say about it. So yeah, thanks for sticking around and listening to me rant on everything, and yeah, we'll see you again very soon. Bye bye and God bless.